Good morning, Riley. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. How's everything going this morning?
Hey, pretty good. It's nice and warm outside. Figure I'd wear some shorts today. And
yeah, it's a beautiful day for a nice stroll. Hey, listen, I really appreciate this. You and I were going to talk last week, but I got under the weather, and you were kind enough to bump this back not once, not twice, but 3 times to this morning. Thanks a lot. I know how busy you are, and I appreciate you taking time to do it.
Hey, anytime.
You have filed a bill to repeal the FOID Card Act. I saw that. My ears perked up right away because I'm one of those people who's felt for a very long time that it's unconstitutional, that I shouldn't have to pay to, enjoy a constitutional right. But here in Illinois and 3 other states, we do.
That's correct. Luckily, there is a court situation going on. I think hopefully it's going to go to the Supreme Court to see if it's unconstitutional. But in the meantime, this is probably about the 5th time that I filed this bill. And we'll see if the Speaker of the House, who is being looked at under a microscope by the FBI, will decide to let it go or not.
Yeah, that would be really interesting. Now, it's been on the books. I didn't realize quite as long. Since 1968. But you're looking to have the Firearm Owner's Identification Card. That's what FOID stands for people who don't know. Firearm Owner's Identification Card repealed.
That's absolutely.
And like you said, this has been something you've been on for a long time because I think you feel the same way that I do. Wait, it's a constitutional right, and yet we have to pay for it. Now, this isn't for someone to carry or wear around concealed or anything else. It's just the example I would use is when my father passed, there were some weapons, and I needed to collect those and take those home. Well, if I did not already have a FOID card, which I do, I'm in violation of the law in simply taking those weapons from when my father passed and bringing them home.
That's correct. To me, it just seems idiotic. And, believe it or not, this FOID card does not make us any more safe. It's just another roadblock for the law-abiding citizens to have to go through.
Yeah, now I've still been very fuzzy on people who say, I'm in favor of the FOID card because it keeps Illinoisans safe because the process includes a background check.
Correct. But guess what? If you go to buy a gun, you have to go through that same background.
Yeah.
They're not just going to give you the gun after you purchase it. You have to go through a background check. And this card, all it's really doing is giving the state more money. And there's at least 62,000 people waiting either for a renewal or to get their FOID card. So because they're so backed up, are we making law-abiding citizens criminals because the state can't keep up with the demand?
Yeah, that's a great question, too. I know that with a concealed carry license, if yours is expired, but you have gone through the classes and reapplied and all that you're allowed to continue carrying the expired one whilst you wait for the new one to arrive. I don't know how it works with FOID.
It's a little bit a gray area. I believe that our state's attorneys and our law enforcement would understand that, but you just never know.
No, and now with the new law that also went into effect, which requires all gun stores in the state then to get that state licensing as well as the federal one, which just adds another layer of bureaucracy. It adds more money going out toward the state, but the state isn't really doing anything. It's just it's a redundancy of effort, isn't it?
It's more of a hindrance to try to get people to not do it.
Okay, so we're going to make the climate hard enough that you, as the gun shop owner, are going to throw your hands up and go, to hell with it. There's too many hoops to jump through. I'm just going to close, which is kind of what you guys wanted me to do to begin with.
Exactly. It's kind of like one of the first bills that I filed. The Chicago aldermen did not want anyone in the city of Chicago to be able to own a gun or to be able to carry a gun, except for them. So when I filed a bill that took their right away for that, boy, did they get upset.
Yeah, isn't that interesting how that works? So many people who have armed security and all that are the first ones who want to take your weapon away from you.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
It's unfortunately state government here and some of the local governments, which like Chicago or others, take advantage of the people that pay for everything. And I don't know about you, but I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I'm sick of it too. And as you probably know better than most anybody else, when you look at the numbers, you got a lot of people who are voting with their feet as Illinois once again leads the nation in outbound migration, and especially the Midwest, trailed closely by New York. But we're still holding the lead in people leaving this state to go elsewhere and not to the Sun Belt.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully, those folks that, like you and I, that can't leave, we decide to vote with our at the ballot box and try to start changing some of this stuff.
Might be a good idea. Won't be long before we'll have that opportunity. Hey, one other thing I wanted to ask you about, in addition to filing the bill to repeal the FOID Card Act, tell me a little bit about being appointed to the First Responders Suicide Task Force.
Well, that has not met yet. I believe our first gathering will be in February while we're down in Springfield. So, I think we're looking at ways of making sure that our police, fire, nurses, our first responders are looked after, since they look after us. Chicago alone, I believe, had a 69% increase in suicide deaths with their officers last year. So it's something that we really definitely need to take a look at. I know there's programs that take care of our soldiers or try to take care of our soldiers once they come home. Well,
sure.
Our first responders are seeing some pretty horrible stuff out there, and we need to make sure that they're taken care of as well. Yeah,
you have a great quote here. First responders need more than just equipment and the technological resources to protect our community and stay safe on the job. They need to know that somebody has their back.
Exactly.
Somebody should be their own colleagues, leadership within the agency or department, public officials at the state or local level, and our community as a whole. It takes everybody.
It does. It does. We ask them to do the impossible. 99.9% they do it with no errors. But I could tell you some stories that you would not believe, and that are just so horrific that you wouldn't believe that it actually happened.
Oh, I have no.
First responders are seeing these every day.
Yeah, I have no doubt. And, we would salute all of them. I thought about all of them over the weekend when you're dealing with this horrific kind of weather where everybody's going into a bunker mentality and how do I get the doors locked, get myself under a blanket, get myself down. These are the people who are gearing up, putting coats, hats, gloves on, and everything else, going out. Your cops, your firefighters, your first responders, your paramedics, everybody that you had mentioned before. While we're all running away from something, they're all running toward it.
Exactly. Exactly, and they're doing it with pride, integrity, and guts.
They are, and so are you. You're doing a fine job in Springfield. We appreciate what you got going on. I appreciate this bill to repeal the FOID Card Act. Now, all we need is Speaker Madigan to go ahead and assign that to a committee. What are the chances of that happening?
Well, do you play the lottery?
I thought you were going to say that. Like a Mega Millions jackpot kind of thing?
Whichever one is the hardest to win, you probably have more of a chance than having this bill called. But it's not to waste anybody's time. It's not to waste ink that the paper is on, or the ink that it's to make sure that Speaker Madigan knows that we're not going to give up. It's to make sure that the supermajority that's in control of this state understands that our job is, unfortunately, in the minority right now, is to hold them accountable. And we're going to do it.
And you have continued to do it. John, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I appreciate you pushing back 2-3 days to get this in. Thanks a lot for your time. And as I mentioned, you're doing a fine job in Springfield. We support what you have going on.
I appreciate it immensely. I'm not always right. I make mistakes, but we're doing the best that we can for you.
Have a great rest.